Hey, are you someone that's constantly overthinking in social situations? You're probably thinking of what to say next, but your mind just always draws a blank. You're probably replaying messages or conversations from the past and thinking of what you could have been saying differently. And you're just constantly overthinking, and it's keeping you from actually connecting with people, and it's leading you to feel just more lonely and disconnected from others and the world around you. Well, I completely can understand because I've been there. 10 years ago, social anxiety completely controlled my life. It really led me to a crippling depression. But luckily, from that place, I really had no choice but to learn how to overcome this. At the time, 10 years ago, I thought this is just who I was. I thought I'm just someone who's shy and I just struggle with connecting with people. I didn't know that I can actually learn tools and skills to overcome this. At the time, I just didn't wasn't aware of it. Nobody showed me how. And from that place 10 years ago, after I became just obsessed about self growth, I've taken so many programs, so many different courses, seminars, workshops, you name it. I've literally spent over $100,000 in the areas of personal development. And I'm here to tell you, a lot of it's junk and doesn't work and isn't practical. But some of the stuff I learned is so effective and it's so simple and practical that people can use it today to actually start getting results. I've used these simple tools to transform my life and transform the lives of many people I've worked with. So I know they work and they're very simple. So you don't need to go through the 10 years of trial and error like I did, and you certainly don't have to spend nearly, even close to $100,000 on these programs, because I'm just going to show it to you right now for free and give you the steps as simple as possible so you can start taking action. So by the end of this video, you're going to have a clear idea of your path to overcoming social anxiety and living a more connected and authentic life. All right, let's jump into it. So the first two steps are very preliminary steps, and the last three are really just the fundamentals of overcoming social anxiety. However, the first two steps are also very important. So step number one, you need to create a clear goal. How do you know if you've overcome social anxiety if you don't know what that means, if you don't know what that goal is? You need to be very specific on what the transformation looks like. And the more clarity you have, the easier it becomes, and you will find the path to get you to that goal. Your mind will actually be more aligned with you the more clarity you have, and it'll help you to find solutions to go towards that goal. But you need clarity. So one of the first things I do when I work with a one-on-one client is to help them clarify their goal. So we go through a list of different situations that they might be feeling anxious in. Maybe going up and talking to someone they find attractive, talking to a coworker, walking up to a stranger and starting a conversation. And I have them rate their level of anxiety 1 to 10. So we see where they're currently at. Then we think of, for them, where do they want to get to with each situation? Maybe not everyone wants to be a public speaker or be able to, host events. If you do, great, that can be your goal. But for a lot of people, they don't really care about that. Maybe you just want to feel more comfortable at work, or improve your dating life. So for example, one of my clients, he wants to bring his level of anxiety with approaching women that he finds attractive. Currently maybe it's at a 9. He wants to bring it down to a 3 or 4. So something that's much more manageable, so he can actually start taking action and start meeting women and improving his dating life. So now he has much more clarity on what the goal is. So you need to be very clear on what is your goal. The clearer you are, the easier it will become to get there. Step two, once you are clear on your goal, you need to believe that you can do it. And this might sound really simple, but it's actually really important, because there's very likely going to be a part of you, your inner critic, that is thinking, oh, you can't actually change. This is the way you are. And what's the point of even trying? And it's going to try to sabotage you. It will. It happens every single time, because that part of your mind wants comfort. It doesn't want to step into the unknown. So what you can do is try to align your entire self so you can start being pulled towards your goal, pulled towards your vision. And one of the best ways to do that is with a visualization exercise. This is something that top CEOs do, business owners, spiritual teachers. We all do this, and it works really effectively. And I'll give you a quick summarization. It's in more detail in my programs, but basically is what you do is you close your eyes, you imagine the situation that you want to be in. You imagine how you would be once you achieved your goal. So maybe you want to feel more confident talking with coworkers or around attractive people, whatever it is. You close your eyes and you imagine yourself in that situation, being confident, talking to those people, approaching people you find attractive, whatever it is, and you imagine it as if it's happening right now. This really has such an incredibly powerful effect. There's so many research that's been done on this and on why it works and how effective it is. But if you start doing this, it's going to start pulling you towards your actual goals. Super effective, and it only takes 1 or 2 minutes a day to do. But again, the point really here is you need to believe that you can do it. And visualization is a great way because it gets it into your body. So your mind will start believing that you actually can do it. It's okay if, your entire part of you, maybe part of you still is going to doubt, and that's okay. But you want to bring your belief up as much as possible that you can actually transform and get the results. Go into it, believing that you can actually do it. You're just going to self-sabotage. You're not actually going to take the action. You're going to maybe try a little bit and then stop and be like, I knew it. It wouldn't work. These programs don't work, or there's something wrong with me. My situation is different. And these are common self-sabotaging mechanisms that happen. And the way to really deal with that is increasing your belief that you can actually do it. And again, visualization is one of the most powerful and simplest exercises you can do. All right, now we're going to get into the 3 fundamentals of overcoming social anxiety, really the 3 pillars. So the first one is mindfulness. So mindfulness is all about becoming aware of your thoughts and your emotions and having the ability to direct your attention. And this is so important because we all have an inner critic. Inner critic is the part of you that's always self-criticizing, of thinking what you could have been doing better, looking at what you should have said instead. And it's kind of always beating you up. It's always bringing you down. And it's trying to do that because it wants you to take action. It wants you to be better, but it's really not actually effective. And we all have an inner critic because our minds are designed to survive, not to thrive. If you think about evolution, hundreds, tens of thousands of years ago, humans were here. We were living in tribes, out in the wilderness, and we just had to survive and procreate. We had to survive and have kids so our genes can be extended. That's all evolution cared about. So our minds, our brains were evolved to have this primary focus of surviving. But obviously, if you just focus on surviving, that's not going to lead you to having a very deeply happy and fulfilling life. So in the modern age, we need to actually learn tools like mindfulness so that we can not let that, scarce part of us, not let that insecure part of us control our life. And that's what the inner critic is. It's really an insecure part of all of us that's trying to control our life because it's trying to just keep us safe. But really, ultimately, it's trying to keep us safe, but it ends up causing us to be more isolated, more lonely, to have lower confidence, and it ultimately is destructive. So with meditation or mindfulness, you start becoming aware of these thoughts. And the more awareness you can bring to them, the less they control you. So what is meditation? I'm sure you've heard of meditation, but a lot of people don't understand what meditation really is. Meditation isn't about just completely clearing your mind and having no thoughts. What happens during meditation is you might close your eyes and you try to focus on the present moment, maybe your breath, and then your mind starts talking, right? That's going to happen inevitably, 100% of the time. Unless you're, I don't know, the reincarnation of Buddha or something, you are going to have thoughts pretty quickly after you start meditating. So the whole thing with meditation is you observe the thought, you see the thought, and you let go of it, and then you come back to the present moment. Now, when you first try meditating, that's not going to happen. You might follow your breath for a couple seconds, and then you have a thought. Maybe it's about food you need to make, what you're doing later, whatever it is. The mind is always racing. So you have the thought, and the thought pulls you, and then you become attached to the thought, and you're going to start thinking about this thought for maybe minutes, and then maybe a couple of minutes later, if you're still meditating, you realize a couple of minutes later that you had the thought, and then you come back to the present moment. So that moment right there, when you become aware and come back to the present moment, that is meditation. That is the entire practice. And let me show you why that's so important, because now you're building the ability to have the awareness and redirect your attention. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're someone who doesn't meditate, right? You might be having a socially anxious thought of, maybe you talk to somebody, the conversation ended, and your mind is replaying the conversation of what you could have been doing better. And you just think about that thought for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, just ruminating over it, overthinking, and it just makes you just feel very anxious. Whereas if you learn the skill of meditation of how to redirect your awareness, that same situation could happen and that same initial thought can happen. So the conversation can end, and your mind might have that initial thought of, oh, I did something stupid. But because now you're skilled at meditation or mindfulness or redirecting your awareness, as soon as that negative limiting thought comes up of, what you could have done better, you just immediately become aware of it and you can let go of it. You can just let go of it and come back to the present moment, back to whatever you're doing, back to whatever you want, or you can redirect it to more positive thoughts. But if you don't have that ability to direct your awareness, then your thoughts are going to pull you. Your mind is going to control you. And I want to get you to a place where you're in more control of your mind so your mind can be used as the beautiful tool it is. It's really an amazing tool and it can be used for all these great things. But I don't want you to be used by your mind. I want you to learn how to use your mind as a tool. So mindfulness, learning to direct your awareness is so critical. So after you learn mindfulness, you're going to be able to just direct your awareness and let go of these negative, anxious thoughts and redirect your attention to more positive, empowering ones. And that's dramatically going to change your life. So mindfulness is a practice. It's not something you just do once and you're done. It's a practice. It's a muscle you build. Every time you let go of a thought and redirect your attention, whether you bring it back to the present moment with your breath or you redirect your attention to something, a more positive thought, every time you're doing that, you're building that muscle of being able to direct your awareness. Knowing how to direct your awareness is the number one skill that you need to know. So many people like psychologists, people in the medical industry, spiritual teachers, they've all agreed of how powerful mindfulness is. So this is very essential for you to overcoming social anxiety, because if you don't learn the skill and how to master mindfulness, you're going to be controlled by your mind instead of you using your mind as the beautiful tool it is. So I have a whole program on how anyone can learn to master mindfulness in as little as a few days. So if you're interested in that, I can leave that in the link. There's tons of, you can find probably programs online on YouTube of what mindfulness is. I haven't really seen any of them that are really specialized on focusing on social anxiety, but yeah, there's definitely resources out there. Hopefully by now you just understand how critical it is for you to have the ability to direct your awareness instead of having that ability so weak that every thought just pulls you. You want to get to the place where you can choose which thoughts you want to go down. You can choose the more empowering the thoughts that are going to make you feel good and be a self-reinforcing thing that's going to get you to take more action and have a more fulfilling life. That's it on mindfulness for now. Again, if you're interested, I do have programs on that. You can send me a message about it, or I'll also leave a link to it below. So step 4, the next one is self-compassion. And this is so critical because we all have that inner critic, right? We all have that part of us that is always bringing us down. And really, we want to get to the place where we become our own best friend. Because when we can become our own best friend, we're going to be aligned to going to our vision, to our goal. Because otherwise, if you don't master this, you might have a goal, have a vision, but that inner critic is just going to be running all the time and is going to control you. So, one, if you don't have the awareness to let go of the inner critic, that's a problem. But two, you want to let go of the inner critic and redirect your attention to more compassionate thoughts, thoughts that are actually going to help you to improve your self-esteem and that eventually will get you to take action. There's a lot of different words for this. Some people call it reframing or priming or self-love, whatever it is. But really, I just simply call it self-compassion, because you want to get to a place where, if you're very socially anxious, odds are you have your inner critic there and it's really beating you up. You're being so hard on yourself and it's not actually helping you. Your mind, that part of your inner critic, thinks that the harder you are on yourself, the better you will be. But we all know that's not true. So you really want to start replacing that with a more compassionate part. And self-compassion is a skill. It's a part of you that can be developed. odds are this part of you right now is there, but it's very underdeveloped and it's being underutilized. So you really want to strengthen this part of you. In cognitive behavioral therapy, we talk about reframing. So that's when you might have a negative thought and you can reframe it so it either becomes neutral or positive. That's great. There's programs out there that teach you deeper about it. This is already included in the mindfulness program that I talked about. So to put it simply, you want to get to a place where instead of having negative thoughts, limiting thoughts, instead of beating yourself up, you're going to encourage yourself. And there's going to be that part of you that's going to be encouraging you to take more action. And it's okay to fail. You can make mistakes and you can laugh at it. And you're just going to end up feeling more joy, more love within yourself. And you're going to be able to connect with people so much easier because you're not worried so much if someone else is going to judge you because you're not going to judge yourself. That no matter what happens in the outside, you're still going to be kind to yourself inside. All right, step 5. And this is really my favorite one to talk about because I just know this is what gets people the most amount of results in the least amount of time, but also can be one of the ones that are more challenging. So that is exposure therapy. So put simply, exposure therapy is where you slowly and gradually expose yourself to the fear, and little by little, these fears lose their power over you. So maybe you want to get better at, talking, in your dating life, to talking to people you find attractive. So to start, maybe you do a smaller challenge of just making eye contact with somebody that you find attractive, then maybe saying hello to that person as another challenge, later on, then eventually maybe greeting that person, giving them a compliment, starting a conversation. So you do these challenges gradually and gradually. And every time you do them, that fear is going to become less and less. It's so powerful, so effective if you do it correctly and if you do it consistently. However, this is one of the more challenging ones to do. You know, 10 years ago when I was taking all these programs around social anxiety, pretty much every program, every psychologist, every coach, they all, said the same thing, that exposure therapy is essential. But it's really hard to do it by yourself, which is what I was doing in the beginning. I'd go out and I'd do a couple of challenges and I wasn't even sure if I was doing it right. I wasn't really being supported by people, and I just didn't do it consistently until eventually, this is about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I created my own exposure therapy meetup group. So I brought people together and we all did different challenges together. This way, when I would go and talk to a stranger or whatever, I had the support of my group. And that made it infinitely easier for me to actually do the challenges and made it infinitely more probable that I'll actually go out and take the action. Because really, it's all about going out there, taking the action, facing your fears. And this is why I created a community program. This is my favorite program, the one that I just have the most joy and fun. And I'm just so grateful to be able to do these programs. It's basically a 30-day program where first we help you come up with a personalized plan of the different exposures you want to do. Because again, everyone's goals are different. So we help you to create your own personalized plan. Then every day you're going to have your own challenges. A lot of them are just very small. They only take maybe 1 or 2 minutes a day. You might be just making eye contact with somebody as you cross the street, or saying hello to somebody, giving somebody a high five, talking to a stranger, whatever it is. So they don't take really any amount of time during the day. And the great thing is you have a virtual community, which for us now is currently a WhatsApp group. So you're in a WhatsApp group with other people in the program, and every day you do your challenge, you would share it in the group. And it's so amazing when it happens because you would share your experience, then that's going to inspire somebody else to take action, and they're going to share their experience. Everyone is going to share really interesting and cool stories of all the experience they have, and it's such a positive and beautiful environment. Everyone is just inspiring each other to take action, and it's really just an amazing, amazing community. Because one of the greatest life hacks is, if you have a goal, find other people that have a similar goal, and you will get there 10 times faster with that shared energy. So yeah, this is the program I love the most, again, because it's really what gets people to get the most amount of results in the least amount of time. But yeah, regardless if you join my program or not, you can find, maybe you have a friend that is willing to do challenges with you, or maybe you can find a local group. I don't know, but if you can just any way you can do it where you're not doing it by yourself, maybe you hire a coach, someone like me or somebody locally, whatever it is, just someone that's going to hold you accountable, whatever it takes to increase your chances of actually doing it. Because one thing I know for certain is, if you do exposure therapy and you do it correctly, you will find dramatic differences in your level of social anxiety and confidence. I can guarantee you that. So really the question is, how can you get yourself to actually do it? So that's why I created my community program, because it just takes away a lot of the friction. It just makes it more fun, makes it more playful. You get to do with other people. It's just so much more enjoyable to do it in these type of programs. It just makes it so much easier, and makes it more likely that you'll actually do it. But again, you don't need these programs. You can do it by yourself. You can find a local group or you can start your own group. All I'll say is this is a crucial, essential part of overcoming social anxiety. So I just, whether you join my program or not, I just hope you will see this and, maybe start your own group and start doing your own exposure, because I can guarantee you, if you do it consistently, you will make a transformation. So if you're interested in any of those two programs, the mindfulness program or the exposure therapy program, I'll leave links to that below. And you can also DM me if you have any questions about it. But by now, hopefully you have a clearer idea of the steps of how to overcome social anxiety. And I just really hope by now you just see that it is 100% possible for you to transform your life. I've seen countless number of people transform their lives. I transform my own life with social anxiety. And I just want you to know there's nothing broken with you. There's nothing, wrong with you. You just haven't learned the skills and the tools, and you haven't just really gone deep enough into this journey of overcoming social anxiety. But you are 100% capable of transforming. Part of you still might be doubting yourself, self-sabotaging yourself. That's very normal. It's very common, actually. But you are 100% possible of transforming your life. So if there's anything I can do to help you, I've been very blessed that I have this purpose to help people with social anxiety. I'm very grateful to be able to do this work and to help people on their journey. So if there's anything I can do, please send me a message on Instagram. I'll try my best to accommodate everybody. I do get a lot of messages now, but if there's any way I can help you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for listening thus far. And blessings to your journey. Ciao.